There is a specific pattern that shows up in any system that is quietly bleeding money. A dying business, a dying career, a dying friendship that keeps costing you, a hobby that stopped being fun 3 years ago. Once you can read the 6 red flags, you'll spot the bleed in every part of your life. Here they are. For the next 10 minutes, I'll walk you through the 6 flags. The same 6, no matter what you're pointing them at. Every one of them shows up in a business, a job, a relationship, or a habit that is quietly draining you. Plus the one rule for what to do when 3 of the 6 show up at once. This one will save you money you don't yet know you're about to lose. Start with the frame, because it's not obvious. We usually think of money bleeding as a business thing. Companies bleed money. Startups bleed money. That's the metaphor. But any system where you put in resources, money, time, attention, emotional energy, and expect something back is a system that can bleed. Your job is a system. Your side project is a system. The relationship you're not sure about is a system. The plan you keep recommitting to is a system. Every one of those systems has the same 6 failure modes. Once you can name them, you stop paying to keep them going out of habit. That is the whole point of the next 9 minutes. Red flag 1. The goal keeps moving further away, not closer. Every functional system moves toward the goal over time. You start 10 steps away. You end up 9, then 7, then 5. That's what working looks like. Bleeding systems do the opposite. The goal is always 6 months out. It was 6 months out last year. It will be 6 months out next year. The finish line has quietly been rescheduled every time you got close. The specific move is to check where you thought you'd be 1 year ago. Not what you told other people you'd be doing, what you actually thought. If the answer is that you're not measurably closer today than you were then, that's flag 1. Principle. Systems that work close the distance. Systems that don't move it further out and call the movement progress. Red flag 2. The fix is always more input. Every time the system underperforms, the answer is more. More money, more time, more attention, more effort, never a structural change. Watch for it. When the job isn't working, the answer is more hours. When the side project isn't working, the answer is more money into it. When the relationship isn't working, the answer is more effort. When the plan isn't working, the answer is more discipline. But when a system is actually broken, more input just makes the bleed bigger, faster. The right answer is a structural change. Different mechanism, different premise, different setup, not more of the same effort on a mechanism that isn't working. Principle. When the honest fix is always try harder, the system is bleeding. Real fixes involve changing something structural. Red flag 3. The honest number keeps not being checked. Every system that is working can be measured. Revenue, weight, hours saved, skill level. A specific check-in with your own honest state. Bleeding systems have one thing in common. Nobody looks at the number anymore, because looking at the number hurts, because the number would force a decision. So the number quietly stops being checked, and the system quietly keeps bleeding. This one is subtle. Almost every guy running a bleeding system will tell you he checks the number. He does not. He glances at a proxy. He checks the vibe. He checks how it feels. He does not sit down with the honest number and let the number tell him what it says. The move is to check the actual number, the real one, this week, whatever the system is. If your reflex is to not want to, that reflex is the diagnosis. Principle. What gets avoided is what's bleeding, every time. Halfway through, notice what these 3 flags have in common. They are all about the way you think about the system, not the system itself. Because the system doesn't lie to you. You lie to yourself about the system. Every one of these 6 flags is a lie in progress. Once you can name them, the lies get harder to hold. Red flag 4. Sunk cost reasoning is the main argument for continuing. Any time the argument for keeping going becomes, I've already put so much into this, you have found flag 4. Sunk cost is the last argument, not the first one. If the only reason to keep going is what you've already spent, there is no forward argument. There's just the emotional weight of what's already gone. This is why people stay in bleeding systems for years. The money already spent is louder in your head than the money still being lost. Both are real. Only one of them is recoverable, and it's not the past one. The move, and this is uncomfortable, is to imagine you're not already in this system. Someone hands it to you today at this exact stage with these exact numbers. Would you enter? If the answer is no, you should not be in it either. That's the same decision. Principle. Sunk cost is a story. Forward cost is a fact. Only one of them should drive the decision. Red flag 5. The people around you have quietly stopped asking. This one takes the longest to notice, which is why it's so useful. When a system is working, the people close to you ask about it. How's the business? How's the new job? How's the relationship? How's the training? They ask because there's something to hear. When a system is bleeding, they stop asking. Not because they don't care, because they can tell it's not going well and they don't want to make you defend it. They've quietly decided on your behalf that this thing isn't going to work. They are usually right, and you are usually the last to notice. The move is honest self-inventory. In the last 3 months, who has stopped asking about the thing? What did they used to ask? Their silence is the free market's verdict on the system, delivered as tact. Principle. When they stop asking, they've already decided. Take that as data. The room around you is smarter about your life than your own defense of it usually is. Red flag 6. You can't state in one honest sentence why it will succeed. Ask yourself right now, out loud, about the system you're worried about. Why will this specifically succeed? In one sentence, in language a smart friend would take seriously. If the answer is a paragraph, you don't have an answer, because there are 5 reasons, and you have to explain the context. And it depends on this specific thing changing. You have a defense. Functional systems can be described in one honest sentence. This job is compounding my skill and paying me while it does. This business has more customers each month than the month before, and each one is profitable. This relationship makes both of us better people measurably. One sentence unhedged that a smart friend would nod at. If you cannot get to that sentence, the system is not one you can defend, which usually means it is one you should not be in. Principle. A working system has a one-sentence why. A bleeding system has a paragraph. So here's the callback. There is a specific pattern. 6 flags, the goal moving further out. Every fix being more input. The honest number not being checked. Sunk cost as the main argument. The people around you quietly no longer asking. And the missing one-sentence why. Here is the rule. 3 of the 6 at once, and the diagnosis is not try harder. The diagnosis is cut and use the freed capacity for the next thing. Most young guys under 30 do not need better ideas. They need better ability to kill the ideas that are already bleeding them. That is where the money and the time and the attention comes back from. Not from doing more, from cutting the things that were quietly costing more than they returned. The whole rest of your 20s opens up on the other side of one honest cut. That's the video. If this hit, subscribe. I make one of these a week. Practical stuff about how money actually works. No hype, no shortcuts.